Good afternoon. This is Frank, and I
One,
am
two.
your host this afternoon. And I welcome everyone who's taken the time of the day to spend the time with us. We certainly appreciate it, and we're looking forward to making this a valuable part of your Wednesday afternoons.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Yes, we hear you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and mute everyone now, but we are going to unmute all in a minute. Yes. Okay, fantastic. Well, you know what I'm saying up on the screen is if lending is a numbers game, and it certainly is, then what would happen if we gave you a way to bring in hundreds of pre-qualified leads? And that's what this program is all about. We are looking for the people who want to take this business extremely seriously, and we're going to jump right into it right now. I'm going to try to make sure that I respect everyone's time, and I'm going to try to keep it short and simple. That's KISS. Some people have a different um, analogy for that, but I want to just respect everyone and say, I want to keep it short and simple. And
Check,
I
one,
want it
two.
to be easy for everyone to follow. I have been accused of trying to pack too much into a half hour. Guilty as charged. I do try to give as much as I possibly can, and sometimes it's more than actually should be in a half hour. So we're gonna breeze through this. We're gonna keep everything very simple and very straightforward. And if we need further training on it, we'll do other trainings that will take more than a half hour, perhaps an hour, and perhaps not during the day, but maybe after hours. And so my first question to everyone is, are you an employee or an entrepreneur? And what is your goal for 2020? How about making it 2020 my best financial year ever? That is something that we should all be thinking about. That's what I want to help each and every one of you achieve, is making 2020 the best year you've ever had. Everything is lined up. The economy is lined up. The properties are lined up. Everything is lined up for it to be your absolute best year. And I want to make sure that we can make that happen for you. So we're looking for people with that entrepreneur mindset. If you have the entrepreneur mindset, the world absolutely will be your oyster. And we're going to show you how you can cash in on being an entrepreneur versus being an employee. I do have some speakers lined up that are published speakers who are going to come in and speak to us this year. And probably once a month, I'll have a speaker, and it may not be during the lunch hour. It might be in the evening, as I mentioned. And it will be an opportunity for you to bring other people, your whole entire team.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Yep. Well,
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. We're trying to mute you, but what would you like to say? Okay. Yeah, we can definitely hear you. We hope that I try to mute everyone when I first start off, and then unmute everyone later on, so that they can ask questions. All right, so let's go ahead and fly along with this. What we want to do is all right. So I'm going to make this very, very simple. I'm going to make it short and simple to the point that I'm going to open it up for questions later on. These guys are in the way. Okay. So let's find people with less than perfect credit who have the dream of home ownership. Who does that entail? Millions of people. Millions of people. And the stars are already lined up. There are millions of properties that are empty and vacant and ready to be rehabbed. There are millions of people who would love to have the dream of home ownership, and there are millions of people ready to step up to step into that property. What our job is to find the B. What our job is, block number B, is to find the investor who wants the most bang for their buck. In other words, looking to turn their investments into cash cows. And as you can see on my screen, there are plenty of them. Someone tell me you can see my screen. Anyone, tell me you can see my screen. All right, I'm going to move forward. All right, so the last part, C. So A, B, C. I want to keep it simple as A, B, C. The last part is after 36 months or within 36 months, we're going to refinance those former tenant buyers into homeowners. Remember, A, they approached us because they had the dream of home ownership, but they were less than qualified. B, we found real estate investors willing to take a chance on people because it was going to be profitable to them. And C, we turned those people that have been in that property for 36 months, we've turned them into viable tenant buyers. We turn them from tenant buyers into homeowners. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be complicated. We don't have to overthink these things. We can make them very, very simple, very easy to follow. And here's what I'm talking about. A typical home that is move-in ready. Very important. A home that is move-in ready. A house appraised at $100,000 can be sold on a 36-month lease option for $110,000. Wow, that's amazing. Because normally when you buy, fix, and flip a house and you put it on the market for $100,000, people always come in at 10 to 20% less than you're pricing the house, unless you're in a super hot neighborhood, and then they get into bidding wars for that piece of property. We'll talk about that another time. But right now, if you brought this $100,000 house that appraised for $100,000, you brought it to your real estate agent. First thing that's going to happen is going to start bringing people in. They're going to put in bids on it, and the bid's always going to be 10 to 20% below your asking price and below the appraised price. That's just the way the beast works. Now, if you had people who were less than qualified, those people would be willing to pay $110,000 for that $100,000 property. Why, you ask? Because, well, you know what? Let me unmute everyone, and I want anyone to just shout out your name, where you're calling from, and why you think somebody would be willing to pay more than the appraised price. Everyone's unmuted now, at least I tried. Okay, if you're not unmuted, all you have to do is hit the microphone, shout out your answer. Why do you think somebody would pay more than $100,000 for a $100,000 property? Anyone? I hear some people breathing. I know you're out there. Come on. All right.
Well, maybe they don't know any better. Maybe that's what they're thinking, that's the price. So that's the price.
Okay. That's not the correct.
Unavailable.
There you go. That's the correct answer. Okay. I'm going to mute everyone again. I'm going to go ahead and move on with that. The reason that people would be willing to pay a little bit more for a piece of property rather than try to bid it down is because we're dealing with credit challenged people. These are optimistic home buyers, and this is their only viable choice for home ownership. In other words, they can't go to a bank, they can't go to a hard money lender, they can't really do anything about their dream but dream about it. What we're doing is we're giving those people hope. We're giving those people the ability to find that piece of property, to move into it, to love it, cherish it, and treat it like their own property, and eventually own the property. And that's what we're doing with this program. So my question is for you is, what do rents go for in your area? It's easy for you to check. You can go to rentometer.com for an approximation. So if you're getting involved in this as an investor yourself, if you're teaching your investors how to make the most money, get the biggest bang for their buck, if you're teaching them, or if you're the investor yourself, you can go to Rentometer and you can find out what rents go for in your area, and you'll understand in a moment why we need to know that. And then, what is a house payment on a similar single-family home in your area? I'm about to unmute everyone again, and I'm going to be asking those two questions. What does rent go for in that area, and what does a house payment go for in that area? And how much can you get for a down payment? I'm going to go ahead and go to this, maybe. Come on, open up. Don't do this to me again. Oh, man. Did this to me last week, too. I can't understand what I'm doing wrong. It worked. It worked during the practice. There we go. Here it comes. Maybe. Come on. You can do it. Okay. I'm going to. I guess I have too many things open on my screen. Let's go ahead and close that. Let's go ahead and close that. It's trying to open. Well, the same thing happened last week when I tried to get into this. During the practice, when we're not live, it works just perfectly. But when we try to go live, it doesn't want to do it. Well, I'm going to have to skip that section of it. I'm going to have to skip that section of it. But we have a spreadsheet. If you can see my screen, I have an Excel spreadsheet that actually calculates how much money you can get for the property. That was the biggest part of my presentation, is the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to be made available to everyone. And what the Excel spreadsheet would show you is how much you can get for a piece of property, how much the property is worth. Yeah, I'm going to try one last time. I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to minimize that. And I'm going to try one more time because it's so important. No, it wants to open, but it's not opening. Do not understand why. I think there's a conflict between Excel spreadsheet and Zoom. That's got to be the reason, because during the practice, it worked flawlessly. Oh, well, so we're going to slide past that. I'm not going to let a little thing like an Excel spreadsheet that won't work stop me from moving forward. So how much can you get for a down payment? Well, the answer is as much as you can get. HUD gets 3%, banks get 20%, and how many people have 20% just kicking around? Very few. So what we do is we have a program, an Excel spreadsheet, that will show you how to get as much money as you possibly can from your tenant buyer. And this is a 3-part program. There's a piece of property on the market, or you already have it. You have an investor who wants to maximize his amount of profit that he can get from that house and then you've got a tenant buyer who wants to buy it. You have to keep these three people separate. The seller who's selling the house to the tenant, to the investor who wants to buy that house, fix it up, and make the most amount of profit, and then the tenant buyer who wants to live in that house. Those are three different people that are involved in this transaction. And what we do is we bring these three people together and we make this happen for them. As I said, the Excel spreadsheet was the biggest part of the presentation, and I can't get it to work. Couldn't get it to work last week either. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and yeah, sure. Let's look at some numbers. I definitely would love to show you the numbers. There it is. Everyone can see that clearly, right? Wrong. Okay. No, I can't. I cannot open that. It just won't open. Oh well. Oh well. It's really disappointing because the numbers are so very attractive. For a $100,000 house that you can purchase for $75,000 on average, you can get $110,000. So the spread there is $35,000 is what the spread is. But that's only the beginning. $35,000 would be, in most cases, enough for everyone to get excited about buying a piece of property. But what else happens is you can lease option it to your tenant buyer who is less than qualified. And that person would be more than happy to pay a little bit more than the going rent in a particular neighborhood. As I mentioned earlier, you compare the most you could get for lease in that area, and you charge a little bit more than that. That helps him build up his down payment, because most people, credit challenged people, do not have a lot of money kicking around in the bank. But if you gave them 36 months to build up that money, they probably could do it, especially if they wanted to live in that house. And that was what the spreadsheet was going to show, how we actually help that tenant buyer raise the money at the end of 36 months to be able to have the actual down payment, to take it out of the investor's name and put it into the tenant buyer's name, who became a brand new homeowner. It took them 36 months to build up that down payment, and this program shows you how to do that. All right, I'm not gonna go on that much more. I will unmute everyone and ask anyone if they can explain what I just explained, or if what I'm saying is making any sense at all. Okay, so I'm gonna unmute everyone. All participants are unmuted. If you're not, all you have to do is click on your microphone and you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Anyone have a comment at this point?
They're everywhere.
Okay, so all we have to do is shout out your name, where you're calling from, and then make the comment.
Dick Young, Cartoon City, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
They're everywhere.
And that is how can you get the answer? You're answering the question that's on the screen. How can you get these properties? Yes, you're absolutely right. These properties are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. In this particular program that we're talking about, it's a very, very simple program to get involved with. The requirements to get into it are very, very low, so it's easy for people to get into. And how can you get these properties? Literally, they are all over the country. They're everywhere in the country. And for those people who have been on this program before, there's one other way that you can get those properties. Can anyone remember the 125% buy, fix, and flip program? This is designed to find the property that needs the rehab. You need rehab. Now, banks will not fund a property if it needs rehab. They're just not going to do it. They run away from those kind of properties. But as Jim said, they are everywhere in the whole entire country. They're everywhere. So one of the ways that we can teach our investors, whether that investor is you or one of your clients, the way to teach those investors to get that property is to introduce them to the 125% buy, fix, and flip program, where we give them the working capital before they find the property. We give them the acquisition capital to get the property. We give them the rehab capital to rehab the property. And then they can either give it to a real estate agent or they can market it themselves. That spreadsheet that elusive spreadsheet that just won't come up, that spreadsheet had a factor in it that shows you how you can save between 6 to 7% on real estate commissions and put that 6 to 7% back in the investor's pocket. Truly, truly, truly making this program a cash cow. God, I wish I could get that thing to work, because it really is a magnificent. Anyone who wants that Excel spreadsheet, it does work on anybody's computer except mine, when I'm running Zoom, that is. So if anyone who wants that, you can go ahead and you can just ask me for that. But this would be one great way for people to acquire it. How else can you acquire that property? It can be donated to you from the city. Sometimes the city will ask you to take these properties over and rehab them. You could have inherited the property from grandma, but maybe grandma passed away and the property really needs some sprucing up. It doesn't matter how you acquired that property. This 36-month lease option program will give you up to 75% of its appraised value, and then that should retire any underlying mortgage, and then you start collecting rent. Now, let's say, for example, rent in your neighborhood is $1,000, and you tell these people that they need to pay you $3,500 to, $1,300. I'm going to mute all again. Okay. And so the rent in your neighborhood is $1,000. You set the tenant in there at a $1,300 a month program. So you're collecting however much money you collected as a down payment and however much money you collected as a lease option fee. That's usually between $5,000 to $10,000. You might be able to collect up front. That's your money. Now the rents in your neighborhood are $1,000. You charge the people $1,300 as their lease option payment. That gives you $1,000 plus $300 to go towards their down payment in 36 months. Now, what do you pay? Well, they're paying you $1,300 a month. What do you pay? You pay interest only of between $300 to $500, making that $1,300 a month an extremely good cash flow. If you have 3, 4, or 5 of these properties going all at the same time, you could be having anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month coming in for doing nothing. You do it one time and it lasts for 36 months. At the end of 36 months, we bring those tenant buyers into a program and we get them refinanced. Once they're refinanced, you are paid in full. Your underlying mortgage is paid off, and you have nothing but profit, 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 and you're ready to do it again. And there's nothing stopping you from doing as many of these deals as you want. So if you are a real estate investor, or if you work with real estate investors, you can do this program over and over and over again. I'm coming right close up to my half hour, so I'm going to bring you on to the last slide. And I'm going to tell you that for the month of January, we're going to start 2020 off right. with a special promotion. We're offering our investors a special appraisal credit. Easy, if somebody gets the Easy Financial 125 buy, fix, and flip program, we will credit your appraisal fee up to $495 at closing on the application receiving in the month of January. So let me let me tell it to you with my clean mouth. Anything that you bring to the table, if it's 125% buy, fix, and flip, or it's one of our other great programs, we're going to be affording people a $495 credit on their appraisal. That is a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. A lot of investors look at the appraisals as an expense. Here, we're knocking that expense completely out of the park. It's not going to even play into the way they calculate their return on investment, because we're going to knock that right out of the ballpark. It won't come out of their pocket at all. And with that, we are finished. We are at the half hour right now. And so if there are any questions, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone again. And unmute all. Okay, everyone's unmuted. If you have any questions or comments, has anyone
Yeah,
done?
I have one.
Yes, sir. Who is this?
This is Clarence Williams, Wichita, Kansas.
Thank you, Clarence. What is your question?
How do you get your hands on this?
Clarence Williams, you just watch your email.
No, I came in late because I had some problem with my computer.
Okay. So the answer is, to get this discount, all you have to do is submit 125% buy, fix, and flip application, and we'll do that. If your question was, how do you get the 36-month lease option program? You first have to have a move-in ready property. So it's already move-in ready. It's been rehabbed. It's been everything that you're going to do. You're ready to go ahead and move it. What we'll do is we will fund up to 75% of the appraised value. If you bought it for $50,000, but it appraises for $100,000, we'll give you $75,000, which means we'll pay off everything, all of your underlying mortgages. That's what we'll do. And then you can put in a tenant in there for 36 months at, let's say, $1,300 a month. At the end of 36 months, that tenant, changes from a tenant buyer to a homeowner when we refinance them. So you can make $35,000 up front on that piece of property. That example that I gave, you can make $35,000 up front. You can make as much as you can possibly charge for their lease option, and you can make about $1,000 a month for 36 months. With, again, simple math, it's going to add up to another $36,000 on top of what you already made.
Right.
So it makes that property into a cash cow.
Wow.
I hope that you listen to the replay, because I don't want to take up any more time. Anyone else have any other questions about this? How to do it, how to get involved, how to do any part of it? Anyone? Go ahead and just unmute yourself, shout out your name, tell me where you're calling from, and go ahead and ask your question. Okay. Well, apparently no one else has a question. Did you have anything else that you wanted to ask, Clarence?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Clarence, just get in touch with me, Frank at easyfinancialgroupllc.com, Frank at easyfinancialgroupllc.com, and ask me for the calculator that I could not get to work today. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and you can just plug in numbers, and when you plug in numbers, it will show you a tremendous amount of profit that you can get by helping less than qualified people
Okay.
realize home ownership, the dream of home ownership.
Right.
Less than qualified people can step up to the plate. You can help them, and they can get into the property. And the real estate investor, whether it's you being the real estate investor or whether it is your client who is a real estate investor, whoever will get the maximum amount of profit out of that each and every house that he has move in ready. Really important. The 125% buy, fix, and flip is for something that needs work. The 36-month lease option is when the work is all complete, everything's ready, and it's move-in ready. Now you can turn that from a $35,000 profit to, oh my God, profit.
I see.
Okay, with that, I'm going to say thank you. Any last questions, comments, ideas? I do want to let everyone know before I say goodbye, I want to let everyone know that we are proceeding with seeking founders to own your own easy financial franchise in your own area. We are continuing to seek that. It's very, very simple. The application that I sent out, or the invitation that I sent out today to everyone, if you go through the 1, 2, 3 steps, that's all it is. 1, 2, 3, very, very simple. You will find how you too can own your own easy financial franchise in your own area, and you too can use automated intelligence, artificial intelligence, to bring in hundreds and hundreds of qualified customers. All right, with that, I'm going to say thank you, God bless, and you have a great day.